So I have this here from Wikipedia, the list of speakers. 1923, check this out. Progressive Republicans had refused to support Gillette for the first 8 ballots, only after winning concessions from Republican conference leaders, a seat in the House Rules Committee, and a pledge that requested House rules change would be considered. Did they agree to support him? This was the first speakership election to take multiple ballots since the Civil War. And then we have this from the Washington Post. Check this out. When the House needed 2 months and 133 votes to elect a speaker. Okay. They say, it goes back to 1856. It was a crazy election, took months. Let's hope that we resolve this House stuff tomorrow. Because if it ends up taking 8 votes and then finally there's concessions made, and maybe Kevin McCarthy gives more concessions to, say, Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, et cetera, enough that they actually will be able to do real investigations or something like that, it's better than taking 2 months and being more indicative of a coming civil war or something. You know what I mean?
What would be a scenario if there was no speaker?
Yeah. Well, there would be no new members sworn in. You wouldn't be able to vote on anything else until there's a speaker in office. So it would literally put the entire branch at a standstill, other than the Senate. They were sworn in today, but...
So they couldn't even vote on things if there's no speaker?
Yeah. I like that idea. That sounds great. That sounds awesome.
And you only need 5 people.
Yeah.
5 people. Man.
Shut down Congress. Let's do it.
Yeah. How did Thomas Massey vote? Did he vote for McCarthy?
I'm not sure.
Let's pull that.
I wonder. I'm not sure if he was one of the defectors or not.
I don't think
some people were telling me not to call the voters defectors. The people voting for Jim Jordan are the people's vote, and the rest are the shill votes. I want to stress this. All right. The people who are voting for McCarthy are just doing it because McCarthy's the machine. He's the Republican machine. And when the machine comes to you and they control funds and they can crush you, they say, look, you vote for me. We'll get you the committees you want. That's the way it's played. Don't F with me. And they go, yeah, for sure. No problem. Yeah. Now you've got people who are like, I don't care. Matt Gaetz is like, I don't care. I'm not going to vote for it. It's not going to happen. Lauren Boebert says the same thing. This is the I am Spartacus moment. This is where people, the Republicans, can now stand up safely and say, look, I don't want to cause any problems, but you guys don't have it. I'm going to vote for Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
They need to do it.
Yeah. And it's that type of moral courage and conviction that we need right now if we're actually going to have the investigations that really matter, like you said. Looking into all of this Fauci-related stuff, looking into the Twitter files and big tech collusion with the federal government. We don't do that by having someone who has already showed us who they are. Like, literally, believe someone the first time when they show you who they are. When has McCarthy, in his history, as a member of leadership, ever really been the guy to, burn down the barn and say, we're going to get to the bottom of this and figure out what exactly is going on? Jim Jordan has showed us who he is. There are other options out there who have shown us who they are. And I think that when you have those options, especially when the fact that we don't control the Senate and the Democrats and the left will still control the White House for several years to come. So it's like we are the opposition party. All we can really do is investigate and hold people accountable. And if we don't have a speaker who is able and willing to do that, then what are we even doing? What are we wasting our time on?
I also just like the revenge element of it.
Yeah.
Like, it was just funny to watch Kevin McCarthy lose 3 times in historical failure because he's been a never Trumper. He's look, man, there are a handful. I'm not a Republican. I keep saying it a million times. Never cared for the Republican Party. But then all of a sudden, and I was even late to the party too. Like they were former Occupy Wall Street people, 9 million Obama voters switched to vote for Trump. And I was like, I'm not voting for Trump. Then I start seeing what Trump is doing. I see these people who used to be Bernie supporters now voting for Trump. And I was like, wow, like I didn't even realize that. And then people were like, look, he wants to bring jobs back to this country. He wants to secure our border. He wants to end foreign wars. And I'm like, those are really good points. Like, I didn't take Trump seriously in the beginning. I probably should have. I probably should have at least, but I was just so jaded. So this time around, okay, I'm going to vote for the guy. Does Kevin McCarthy and even with all due respect, Marjorie Taylor Greene, think that someone like me would actually get behind a guy who claimed Putin was, the Russia, he pushed the Russia collusion nonsense or the January 6th nonsense? I'm not interested in that. Yeah. That's you will never see me be like a proud party Republican who's going to march in lockstep with the Republican establishment because I'm supposed to. Not interested in that.
According to Axios, Thomas Massey is voting for Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. I'd like to see Massey as Speaker of the House. That'd be great. He'd probably just could you imagine if Ron Paul was Speaker? Just I'm not going to swear anybody in.
Yeah.
We're just. It's
Did
just
a
not-
real job, young man.
Honestly,
Stop.
Thomas Massey would be a great Speaker of the House because he's kind of like a robot. I mean, I love you, Tom, obviously, but like autistic robot. You know, you got the engineering skills down. If you know what I'm saying, man. We need someone that's impartial, that's willing to just work off of facts and logic if they're going to function as the speaker for the whole. You don't want the emotions clouding it up.
Here's
And you're not a robot, bro. You're a man.
Let's go back to the core of this segment, right? So, it was 1856, just before the Civil War, when tensions are as hot as they've ever been, and it took months to finally get a speaker. Then, of course, a few years later, they're in Civil War. Then you get 1923. So I suppose my view is, I know, Luke, you're saying gridlock is good, and I'm like, yes, gridlock's preferable to corruption. But I want a net positive. I want investigations. So I guess my concern is what's the risk of destabilization if we go for hard investigations and accountability versus letting the machine lock itself down and then just having nothing happen, right? Like what is the preferable scenario?
Yeah, you could accidentally uncover a lot of stuff that makes people very angry, very riotous, and then you have foreign corporations come in, be like, you're the victim here. The American government was out to get you. We'll protect you. I'm Klaus Schwab. I'm here to help. And then all of a sudden we have a corporate state.
The foreign corporations have already taken over the public government, Ian. They already are in charge. They already are calling the shots. We look at our form of government. They don't serve the people. There's been many studies, particularly showing populist policies never get passed. The policies that the lobbyists want passed, they get passed, especially when they have big money behind them. So that what you're warning about happening already has happened.
Well, but Luke, my question for you is: do you think it's better to have investigations like a church commission or gridlock shutting the government down?
Investigations or whitewashes? That's another.
No, I know.
Here.
Let's say we could get. Let's say Jim Jordan wins, and he actually says, "Okay, we're going to have some accountability. Maybe not perfect, but it's not going to be a whitewash." So is that good, or would you rather see gridlock?
I'd rather see gridlock because it's going to be the same government that just a couple days ago passed the $1.7 trillion spending bill. It's going to be the same government that just passed Bill Gates's Inflation Reduction Act, which doesn't really reduce or do anything with inflation. It's the same people predominantly in power right now that are going to be doing more with your life. And I just don't believe them when they're going to come here and say, we're going to do things differently now. I mean, really? Come on.
I agree. Like, that's a thing too. Like, a lot of people are saying Jim Jordan, and I'm kind of, I guess maybe. I mean, I've seen him write a lot of letters. I've seen him speak up a whole lot. It's better than nothing. But I don't know if I've seen enough to where I'm like, he's the guy. Like, Thomas Massey is someone where I trust him that if he was speaker, you'd actually see something happen. I don't know about Jim Jordan. That's why I probably agree with you more, Luke. My view is the options in the speaker vote today were control or controlled opposition. That's why I'm just like not interested.
Yeah.
What's your vision?
I think that's a lot of people right now, but I think when you talk about is it worth the trouble, I think the people want the trouble. They want to see these investigations. They want to see these truths uncovered wherever that may lead. And I think that it's so easy to get trapped into the personality debate when it comes to this because we're dealing with people. Do you really like McCarthy? Do you really like Jim Jordan? Those are all personality questions. But I think at the end of the day, what we are seeing from, if you just look at Twitter and the conversation that's going on about it, every single tweet that Marjorie Taylor Greene has made, Supermaning for Kevin McCarthy has been ratioed. Every single one.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like the people want accountability, and we're not going to get that by being the complacent conservative movement that we've always been.
I was watching War Room earlier, and Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared on it. And so I'm like, I got to see this because, look, I like Marjorie. And I want to hear what she has to say about Kevin McCarthy. Yeah. And the chat lit up with shill, sellout, you've turned, you've abandoned us, backstabber. They are not happy with Marjorie Taylor Greene on this one.
It's worth hearing her out, of course, before you start judging the person.
She's not wrong in the sense that she has a logic to her decision. Kevin McCarthy is the leadership. He's made concessions on certain things. He said there will be investigations, and she's probably been guaranteed committee positions where she, who I trust, would actually do something, will do something. But I'm just going to come out and say it like, Marjorie's a Republican. She's a Trump Republican, but she's still going to be there for the party. Don't look at me. Like, I was barely there. I wasn't there at all in 2016. I was barely there in 2020. And I think that's the problem. Republicans barely squeaked by because they were able to convince a lot of post-liberals, moderates, and like more middle of the road people to support them. Now they're coming out and saying here's how I feel. I don't want to speak for anybody else. I feel like now that they've won, they're coming to people like me and being like, okay, now that you've helped us fall in line, here's our Republican establishment plan. I'm like, bro, don't look at me. Yeah. You're not going to convince me to do anything. You're lucky you got my vote in the first place. Yeah. So I don't see it, man.
You should always be reticent about voting for, quote, the party. That's a big Hitler tag. Hitler wrote about the party in Mein Kampf. It's all about the party, putting the party first. Do not do that in America. I mean, geez. Vote for people.
Here's what we need. We need an Elon Musk in Congress. And I don't mean Elon Musk literally. I mean someone who's willing to stake $40 billion to do something kind of off the wall, kind of nuts. I would like to see Matt Gaetz stand up and nominate Donald Trump. He should get up there. He should be like, I am nominating Donald Trump for Speaker of the House. He is a great leader. He has massive support along the base. There you go.
But could Donald Trump even get the votes at this point, right?
Who cares?
That's the thing.
I'm just like, someone needs to throw a figurative pie.
Yeah.
Like, Jim Jordan is not a pie. Jim Jordan is a middle finger to McCarthy, so he can't win. But come on. Like, Biggs was not bad, Freedom Caucus guy. But they could have still done better, I mean, even Matt Gaetz nominating Lauren Boebert would have been better.
Yeah.
But okay, whatever.
Who should it be, Luke?
Ron Paul. Dr. No. They called him that in the Congress because he would vote no on everything.
See, like,
we need that kind of leadership.
So here's a question: like, why doesn't Thomas Massey do it? Maybe because he's more robotic and he's more like, it's not worth it.
Because no one nominated him. Is that the only reason?
Yeah. If I was in Congress, I'd be the craziest person in Congress. People would be like, this dude's out of his mind. I'd stand up and I'd say Ron Paul.
You'd be the AOC of the right.
No, I would.
Yeah, you would.
No, AOC fell in line behind Nancy Pelosi.
Yep.
She got whip crack and she was like, whatever you say, Pelosi.
What do you think happens
No.
when they go
I'd stand up there and be like, Ron Paul. And I'll be like, look, I don't agree with Ron Paul on a lot of things. He's a right libertarian kind of guy. But I agree with him on one thing. He promised to leave me alone. If the government has a guy in there who's like, here's my policy positions, I'll go, okay, I don't like all of those. But I also promise first and foremost to leave you alone. I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna vote for you.
Yeah.
So if I was me, I'd throw a figurative pie. I'd be like,
can we nominate Thomas Massey? There's 45,000 people listening right now. You guys want to nominate Massey? Let's do it. Thomas, you got my nomination.
Yeah, but I think the thing that makes him not want it is also a part of his virtue. Like, Thomas Massey just wants to go up there, fight for America, fight for limited government. He's not at all really concerned about the power. And that is just oftentimes the conflict of politics. Everyone that we want to run never runs because they're smart enough to know not to. And I think that why would you actually want to be Speaker of the House? Sure, you could do a lot of good work, but why would you put yourself in that position?
Can we get Michael Mouse? Someone said Michael Mouse for Speaker. Andre in Super Chat. I'm like, well, how about can he run for Congress?
Yeah.
Just
yes.
Send him just being in there would be hilarious.
Let's break down what's the purpose.
I think someone like Jeffrey Dahmer would be more of a perfect fit in Congress. When you look at his activities, they match up with what Congress is doing. That pretty well.
As a member of the Black community, I don't know if I can endorse that. I don't know that'd be safe for us.
What? No, but hold on there on that thought. There have been I've heard people talk about sending like having people like Dahmer, murderers, people with criminal intent, into the military, into foreign conflict, intentionally. They look for these people because they want combat.
Yeah.
Imagine if you took all the serial killers in the United States and instead of imprisoning them, we're going to unleash you on our enemies.
That's like StarCraft.
Is that what they do?
Yeah, in Blizzard, they put guys inside of mech suits permanently forever as that's their prison, and then they have to fight in the mech suits. That's Tychus. He's one of them.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I don't
they
know.
can always turn on their captors.
What's our resolution to this historic moment? What do you guys think before we move on?
Well, what's the Speaker of the House? What's the purpose of the role?
It's third in line for the presidency. All right. They basically are the highest position in Congress, in the House. And so they set committees. They decide when bills go to the floor, things like that.
Is it the one person sets every committee?
I don't know exactly.
It's through the House Steering Committee, but
Yeah.
the Speaker basically controls those appointments. So by extension, the Speaker, makes those appointments.
Can the Speaker overrule the Point Committee? Is that what it's called?
They can change the rules of the session of the Congress.
It's a very powerful position in government.
Yeah, someone joked that the concession for like Matt Gaetz and Boebert and all them, they should tell Kevin McCarthy, new rule for the 118th Congress that Democrats don't get to vote. Like you could make you can make up weird rules. I don't know how weird you can get, But
Like Papa John's for dinner on Thursdays. They could do that kind of stuff.
I mean, that'd be cool. I'd love to. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, man, I wish I could be there. I would never want to be in politics. It's awful. But just for that one moment to stand up and nominate Donald Trump would be totally worth it. Or nominate someone like Dave Smith. Wouldn't that be just amazing if somebody just got him and said, Dave Smith, he's a funny guy, libertarian. Let's have him do it. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And just to say it, so on everyone watching on C-SPAN or whatever hears you say it.
The most interesting thing on C-SPAN in a while.
All right, so here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, they're coming back at noon. There's probably going to be another vote. Right now, I bet every single one of these people, they're on the phone nonstop. You've got threats probably. And threats aren't going to work. You know, Matt Gaetz came out and said they threatened to take away our committee positions. Don't care. Yeah. You're not gonna win this one against Matt Gaetz by going in there and spitting on him and threatening him. You're not gonna get it unless you give a little bit.
And where was this energy towards Ilhan Omar, right? With everything that she said that was anti-Semitic and all of these things, they have done more to criticize internal dissent, even going the length of saying, we're going to take your committee away. But where was this energy towards Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib? It's like insane. It's like they want to crack the whip on our own side, but yet we can never focus on the common enemy and hold the left to the same account that we're trying to do to ourselves.
I think there's really
it's because people like McCarthy keep winning.
There's three,
and it's because so many of these Republicans are scared to go up against the Republican establishment because of things like what happened to Blake Masters.
There's three parties in Congress right now. It's Democrat, Republican, and this new party that's still Republican.
MAGA.
Yeah, whatever you want, MAGA, whatever the people
lion.
that got energized by Trump.
Elephant, donkey, lion.
Yeah, there really is. And I think that's where all this divisiveness is coming from, is the two political parties within the Republican Party, which for whatever reason, they haven't started a new party yet.
Well, you know what? We'll see what happens. I'm tired of the same old. So I'm not interested in voting for these people just so that they can come. Look, Donald Trump is what convinces me and MAGA and all that stuff to vote for it. They oppose the grooming of the kids stuff, the CRT, foreign wars, stronger borders, all that. Like, they support stronger borders. I'm for those things. I am not for 14-year establishment Republicans who are Democrats going the speed limit. I'm not for that. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.